regarding the losses of the Ukrainian army, Ukrainian defenders dying in such numbers. The reason it happens is because Ukraine doesn't have enough shells and enough anti-air measures. That is the only reason why it happens. Had we had enough shells for Western artillery that we have in big numbers here in Ukraine, but we still have to use old Soviet D-30 howitzers. The reason is because the military supplies to Ukraine, they stop coming, which is not just dangerous, it's freaking ridiculous. It's, you know, it's as if people on the West heard this message from Putin, who said Ukraine must be cut from supplies. This is my demand. And basically, this is exactly what we see nowadays. It must not be like that, because those guys could be alive today if we had enough artillery to suppress Russian artillery. Currently, in the situation when we have one howitzer against 10 Russian howitzers that have, unfortunately, better range than we, even though last year we had better range, better precision using American M777s, using Polish Krabs, using other artillery units. Guys, this is a completely ridiculous situation, and this is why our guys are dying, unfortunately. Not only Ukrainian guys, but also guys from other countries who come to fight for Ukraine. This is why they are dying, and this is why we should raise awareness and return these supplies to Ukrainian army.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100% agree. And that's the same story you hear. And of course, Starsky in this panel knows more than anybody. He's forgotten more than we know from his experiences. However, he's correct. When you go there and the commander sits down, I'm having coffee with him, and he says, Greg, if we just had shells, I would have lost maybe 50. I wouldn't have lost 270. I would have lost 50.
No.
There's nothing we can do. And then you add on top of that, and I know Sergey was talking about it earlier, but the adjustment in the warfare right now, guys, is I don't think the world is aware of the level of drone activity.
No doubt, right?
The amount of drones that are Russian and Ukrainian going at the warfare, you know, warfare, and Commander McMillan, you were making a mention about this earlier, but in regard to refurbishing the shells, refurbishing and the processes of that. But at the same time, we're entering a new phase of warfare, of electronic warfare, and of drone warfare, and of cyber warfare, and the increase of the propaganda warfare. You know, to agree completely with Starsky, it is a tragedy that Ukraine does not have enough shells right now just to hold their line. They have the only reason they're holding, guys, is because they're superhero fighters.
They're the better military
for their homeland. It's not even close.
Yeah, and if they just had stuff to throw at the bastards, right?
Yeah,
correct.
Absolutely.
Correct. But in addition to that, just please, guys, pay attention. The drone warfare, the technological warfare is a little bit higher than probably most of the world recognizes and understands. It's changing technologically every couple of weeks. There's an adjustment in that technology, and Russia is changing their technology. Ukraine is changing their technology. And it's just, this war is different than any war we've ever experienced. We see basically 150 years of warfare. I take it all the way back to the American Civil War with the artillery warfares, the cannon warfares. Take it to World War I with the trench warfare, World War II with the increase of the artillery and the beginning of the airplanes and the bombs and all of this. And you throw all of that into it, and then you come to the modern warfare. And we have a war here that nobody, their history is being written about it right now. That's the reality of it. And then, in addition to what Starsky said there, the tragedy that we are struggling to stop the glide bombs due to the lack of supply. Even if it was even any kind of airplane we get in there or more air defense that we can throw at them, they are horrible, guys. I was with the scaredest I've been. First of all, you're never fearful, to be quite honest. The adrenaline is going and you're helping. And we are a unique aid group. We are fully working with the military, and we're fully geared up. We're fully armored. We're fully carrying candies that we may need if possible. Yeah. We're ready to roll. But we get to certain places, the drones, they're scary. But I'm going to be honest with you. I was with a couple of guys right up on the border with Russia in the Sumy region. And we were talking, having tea. They were getting ready to go to a different part of Ukraine and for their job. And they had called and said, Greg, would you come? You've been spending a lot of time where we're going. And we've never been there. So could you tell us what it looks like, the terrain, all this stuff. And we were sitting there chatting. And guys, the glide bomb hit right across the street and down a couple of 100 yards, couple 100 meters. And I'm going to tell you, I saw fear in everybody's eyes, and there was only 5 of us in the building, and the fear was in everybody's eyes. And it was at that moment, the eyes as big as saucers. Everybody grabbed their helmet, everybody grabbed their body armor, and we all literally ran out of the house, jumped into our vehicles, and drove as fast as we could drive. It shook you to the core. So those are major problems that we have to deal with. And the world's so slow. I'm so sorry for my country. I love my country. We've done a lot to help, and nations around the world are doing a lot to help. But this political infighting that is a result of 30 to 40 years of propaganda, going back all the way to the days of Khrushchev. And it started way back then, guys. And now we're reaping that. Boris Nemtsov was right in 1984. We're watching it happen right before our eyes, and the world needs to wake up to it before it's too late and stand for what's right.
Absolutely, absolutely. I can only agree here. That is the situation we are facing now. We are the problem, like the tragedy is that the West is much stronger than Russia, and we could have helped Ukraine to win this war already in 2022. Yes, if we would have been ready and decisive. And that is the next step of the strategy is, as I said before, our societies are way more supportive for Ukraine and way more ready for sacrifice than our elites. And that was the decision of our elites. And I'm, as a German citizen, I'm absolutely ashamed of what my government is not doing. Chancellor Scholz, but not only he. We have like amazing speeches by the Greens, by the Liberals, but when it comes to voting at the Bundestag, no person in the governmental coalition voted for Taurus missiles for Ukraine. And before and after, all of them provided perfect interviews, how much we need to support Ukraine, how much Putin is the danger for the world. Then I asked them, where are the goddamn missiles? Where are the goddamn shells? And we celebrate 2 years after the start of full-scale invasion, 2 years after, we celebrate on TV how the Chancellor Scholz is celebratingly opens the construction pit of the future ammunition factory, which will be ready in 3 years and will start to produce ammunition, which will be ready in another 6 months or 7 months. That is incredible. The German producer of Taurus missiles says they stopped producing Taurus missiles because they do not have an order from a production request from the government. At the same time, our government says that they will not provide Taurus missiles for Ukraine because in a case of war, we will not have our Taurus for ourselves. Okay, first, I do not believe that when it comes to Russia's full-scale attack against Germany, our 300 Taurus missiles will protect us. because that is not enough. And 300 or 200 Taurus missiles could have done a much better job if they would have been sent to Ukraine right now. But even if the idea is, okay, we need to have our precious German Taurus missiles, which are the best in the world, for ourselves, because Putin can attack us and we will need them desperately, why don't you produce more missiles now? And the answer is, they still do not believe what is happening. They still have not understood what is happening. This generation of German politicians were all born after the World War II. They have spent their whole life being protected by the foreign armed forces, by the United States armed forces, by the British armed forces. Most of them have denied military service. Most of them believed that Germany need only to trade to Russia to continue to be a peaceful country. Of course, you can be a peaceful country if you have been protected by the whole NATO. And now they don't understand how to deal with Putin. If I remember our first German chancellor in 1949, Konrad Adenauer, he had achieved a proposal from Joseph Stalin to get unification of Germany with one single step from Germany. The new Germany should be neutral. And Konrad Adenauer said, no, we will be a NATO member, because I understand as soon as we are neutral, you, Stalin, will attack us. And Konrad Adenauer was threatened and was attacked, etc. But he said, no, we need to be strong, we need to have strong army. And you know what? Konrad Adenauer was an old man. He was an old man who was already old in 1930s. He was a retired politician back then. And he has experienced everything in his life. He has experienced Nazi prison. He was arrested by Hitler's Gestapo and put into prison, and then sent to some sort of exile. This person experienced a Nazi Gestapo prison, and no Russian pressure, no Russian blackmailing could scare him. And now our politicians do not have that experience. Konrad Adenauer had experience of war, of bombs, of Nazi terror, of being arrested, of being harassed, of being threatened with death. And our politicians, their biggest fear is not to have coffee with all the syrups they want at the conference room. And that is the problem. They can be scared very easily. Putin says a nuke, and they get in their pants.
Yeah.
And that is the problem. We do not people who can say, like Ukrainians say, go to hell, we will fight. And that is the real problem.